Hi guys, so for today's Scrap Your Stash, you know I mean business because I wrote down some numbers and it is just something I've done. It's an oldie but a goodie. I think I created this, the first time I came up with it was when I was still living in Monterey because I did upload a video called like From the Vault because I do have some very old videos that were on my very first channel that I still wanted you guys to see even though the editing wasn't great. Like I know it was even upside down, it was with my hands up here because I didn't know how to edit at that time in a different way I guess. And yeah, and we lived there in 2010 for a year or two, so a very old technique and fun way to just store your pictures. I thought, you know, we're scrapbooking, scrap your stash. That's also something we need. I mean, you can buy plastic things at the store or other boxes or whatever, but sometimes when you're just focusing on like a certain theme, like in my video, I think the original one, I'll link in the description box, I use like a Disneyland theme and then like a Halloween theme. But a lot of times, you know, cruises or, okay, Hawaii. So like all your pictures that you had in there, you can put them all in there and then scrap them as you want, and then the rest of them go into your photo albums, right? Or whatever. Or it can just be generic, or it can just be a cute gift that you give to somebody that's just holding a bunch of their photos. Maybe you guys went on vacation or however, did something fun, birthday party, you know, all those kinds of things. Just think of all the different themes you can do it. So I did make this one a little bit larger because I wanted to hold quite a few photos, but you can definitely play with the numbers. In the original video I used chipboard. I think I'll probably still use chipboard because I have tons of chipboard, but if you don't have that, you can just cut a couple pieces of like cereal boxes or any kind of, you know, cardboard type, not cardboard because not that kind, but you know what I'm saying, like a cereal type of chipboard would be really good. A great way to upcycle that. The back of a paper pad, usually the backs of your paper pads usually have a nice thickness to them. Use that, cut it up. Originally I used a 12-inch piece of paper and I got all my chipboard pieces from it, so if you have a 12-inch you know, piece of chipboard, you're going to get everything from that. If it's smaller, then obviously you're going to get smaller pieces. You know what I'm saying? You're going to need more pieces, sorry. That's what I meant to say. But if anything I use is more contemporary and I can still get links for it, I'll have in the description box. Those will be affiliate links, which means I'll make a small commission if you purchase items through those links. I'm telling you, these can literally be anything, you guys. I really, in my mind, I'm like, do I do an Anna Griffin one? Do I do something more cutesy? I do have some pretty paper over here that we recently picked up. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm going to do. But we're just going to get right to it. So generally you need chipboard, you need some kind of glue or adhesive, your pretty papers. In my original video I did do some sewing because it looks very cute. I don't know that everyone has a sewing machine, so I might just skip that part for this one, and that's okay. And but I'll tell you where I use the sewing machine. It does look cute, it adds a little something, because otherwise you're just kind of sticking pieces of paper together. And you know, you can use ribbon or like lace, whatever you want to decorate this thing. I'm making it very basic. And then the way I made mine, I made different ones. For a swap, I think I made one that tied with a bow. This one's going to have a flap, and then it's going to, the little flap is going to have like a shape, whatever shape you have. Like even right now, I still have these emerald dies that I have from Spellbinders. You just need a shape. Now, having said that, if you are using chipboard that's really thick, it's going to be not super easy to cut it with these kinds of dies. I think originally when I did mine, my little stopper, because it'll have a stopper with the flap, I use like a steel roll die, which is probably better. So maybe for this video I might still use, yeah, I don't want to. I was going to say I can still use like cereal, something that's going to cut and then just layer it up a couple times, right? But if you just have a nice hunk of chipboard and you have a, you know, which I have plenty of steel roll dies, I can just cut it and have that piece, and then cut a piece of paper from the same die to mat over it so it looks pretty. Something to think about, you can also just use Velcro or whatever, right? You don't have to use the stopper thing that I'm doing. And maybe I'll change my mind by the time I get there. I don't know. You'll have seen in the thumbnail what it looked like. But I'm going to go ahead and just make some paper selections. You're going to need a couple of sheets of like 12-inch paper, or even honestly A2 size paper will work too. You just have to have at the end have a strip of paper that is roughly, I'm going to say 7 inches wide. I did 6.5 before, and they only gave me half an inch on either side, and it was kind of tight, and I'm like, why did I do that? Especially because you have to cut your paper at 6.5 inches wide anyway. You're not conserving a piece of 12-inch paper that's only cut right in the middle. So let's go 7 inches by 12, or however long, right? If you have A2, it's going to be 7 by 11.5. It doesn't matter. At the end, we need a piece of paper that's roughly like 25 inches long, okay? So we're just going to stick some papers together to do that. So just keep that in mind. So if you're using A2 size paper, don't you know, don't let my numbers scare you. You have your paper, and you just need to have a strip at the end that's going to be roughly about 25 inches long. What else? I think that's it. So let me make some paper choices, but we are going to cut our chipboard first. So I'll be right back. Probably some kind of lightweight chipboard. It doesn't have to be the heaviest weight, but I do have a ton of it. I'm looking at it right now, so I'm just gonna grab some and I'll be right back. Nicer chipboards. This one is, I think, from Hobby Lobby. I picked it up not too long ago, but I can tell it wasn't. I mean, this is called chipboard, and there's how many sheets in here? 25 pieces, and it flexes, so it's not very thick. So this will kind of give you the approximation of if you're using cereal packaging or something, a cereal box. But anyway, I'm gonna use 2 of them, which I didn't do last time because I had a really thick chipboard, and I still do, but I just have this and I need to use it anyway. So I am going to stick 2, honestly 3 together would be even better, but we're going to cover this up with lots of paper, so hopefully, I mean, that's the flexes a lot. It's really weird. Anyway, we're going to need a couple of pieces. So you do need 2 pieces that are 5.5 by 6.5. And I think the way I planned this out the first time is I went ahead and scored this. Not scored it, but I can just go and cut it right now, but what you probably want to do is line this up on your grid mat somewhere and do your 6.5. So I probably should line it up over here, but I want you guys to see it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So that mark would be right here. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because if I did 6.5 in this direction, your paper's just going to kind of run out. Like it doesn't maximize your paper, but I guess it doesn't matter once you turn it, if you were to turn it. Anyway, just 6.5, okay? And then we need a line in this direction, that's a 6.5, to do 5.5, so I'm just going to line it up again, try to keep it nice and straight. And I'm just making these lines for you guys. You can just start cutting if you had a knife, you know, your craft knife. I guess that's another item we need. You can just cut it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So I'm putting a line here at 5.5. Just making a mark, and then another 5.5. So that's the half. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see where we're at. Okay, we're right on the. There we go. Okay, so these are 5.5 by 6.5. And then we still have this piece that essentially is 5.5 inches, right? Because we did 6.5, so it leaves 5.5 over here on this other side. I'm just going to line it up again on one of these things here, because now, well, I probably shouldn't have turned it. I could have left it the way we had it. I just want you guys to be able to see it. You can leave that piece or use it or however, but we need 3 pieces. 2 of them are 5.5 by 3.5, and 1 is 5.5 by 3. So these are already 5.5. So by 3, I'm just going to go 1, 2, and 3. Now my ruler is not long enough, but I'm going to eyeball that, and let's just pretend that that's good. Actually, what we can do is put more of it out this way so we do know that it's mostly lined up. So 5.5 by 3. And then 2 that are 5.5 by 3.5. And I didn't put this in my head in a way that maybe I would cut it somewhere else, so we can just cut this whole piece off. So you can arrange it however you want. So that was 3, so 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5. And hopefully, again, I'm hoping this is nice and straight. I guess, oh, it is, look, it goes right to that one. So there we go. And then another 3.5. So this is 5.5, sorry, 3.5. And we need another 3.5. So there's half, and then 1, sorry, half, 1, 2, and 3. You see, you have a couple pieces you don't need, but maybe our stopper can be cut from this paper. And actually, now that I do have this chipboard that's a little bit thinner, then maybe it will cut with my dies, right? Just your regular kind of dies. So all you need, guys, at the end is that. So you need 2 pieces that are 5.5 by 6.5. You need that just leaves a 1-inch piece there. And 2 pieces are 5.5 by 3.5, and 1 that's 5.5 by 3. I cannot believe how thin this stuff is. Anyway, I usually have a really nice We Are Memory Keepers, what's it called? Ruler that has like magnet underneath, and it's like thicker and it's really nice and rigid because it's meant to help you cut, you know, this kind of thing. But I always scratch myself with it. It's huge and it has really sharp edges, so I don't even know where it is, to be honest. It's behind me somewhere here, but I kind of tuck it away so I don't get hurt. So either way, just come through with your craft knife. I like a metal ruler because you can really butt up against that. And since I am cutting 2 pieces at once, I'm just taking my time doing the 2 cuts so that I can go through those. And that's it, guys. So we're just going to follow along your lines, keeping them straight still, you know. Try to get as nice and straight as you can. All those things end up giving you a really nice finished product, you know. And I'm cutting pretty much right on the lines. You know, it's a felt tip pen or whatever, so it is going to be a thicker line, but you know. Okay, and this one, yep, lined up pretty well there. Okay, not too bad. So just want to make sure these are exactly the same. If it's going to be 5.5, that's the 1/2 inch. Yep. Okay. Oopsie, see, that moved. I don't want that. I want to hold that down really well. Okay, so I'll continue cutting them, and I'm going to glue these together. Now, I like wet glues, but if you want to glue it together with just, you know, your ATG or a runner, that's going to work really well for you, because it's just, this is going to be embedded within a bunch of decorative papers. So, there's that. Glue those 2 together. And that glue also helps it get sturdier. So I'm going to glue these 2 together. And I'm not going to waste your time or belabor your, you know, this much more. I'm just going to cut them, guys. So cut it here, and cut this here. I think I have everything glued together. This is the last one. Like I said, I will link my original video because I walk through step by step and explain so much and do all the, you know, sewing, all these things. And it's a really nice video, so if you guys want to check that out, because right now we're just kind of getting to it. So now I'm going to choose my decorative papers. So if you can imagine, I just want to say, basically we're making a box that's kind of like empty. I don't know how to explain that. So this 5.5 by 3 is just like the flap that's going to go on the box like this. Well, if it was facing this way, but there. And then you have to go across this way. And then the shape, the body of the box, right? And then the bottom, this is the top area, the bottom, and then bring the body back up to be the same size as this guy. And so that's where this flap kind of will close on top of this part. So you're just going to glue them together like that with a long strip of paper. It's just kind of like we used to make mini albums and things like that. So you're basically making a shell, like a casing. These are going to hold 4x6 photos or anything else that could be, you know, roughly the same, almost the same height and width, like that kind of thing. One other thing we're going to do is put like an accordion in there to hold our photos. Oh my goodness, I didn't explain this thing at all at the beginning. Anyway, so that's how we're going to hold the photos. It's not a box where you kind of go through it and pick out. It's going to be like accordion pieces, and that one's going to be super easy. You know, whatever you want. I did use, I think, 3 sheets, so we're going to have 6 sections. You can do 8 sections, whatever it is that you want. I believe I did 3 sheets last time. So let me grab some. I'm going to grab my papers now because that needs to coordinate with what I'm going to use on the outside. So I will be right back. I guess this will still be a blast from the past, even though you can pick this up now. The Park Lane Mariposa. Again, it's a little bit thinner than the old die cuts with the View Mariposa, but the new die cuts with the View Mariposa is also thinner, on the thinner side. So something to think about. What I like to do is do like a mix and match of pretty. Look how pretty this one is. Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe I need to use this one. I was going to use this one, but I don't know that I need it. But let's go ahead and grab that one too. The one right behind it. And then you can do an accent piece or an accent color, or however you do need. You can have like 3 sections of paper is what I'm trying to say, or the same paper going through the whole thing. The reason I did mine different last time is I think it looks cuter when you do different papers. So that one will focus more on the pinks. Ooh, how about this black? Okay, so I just chose 3 different papers. You can do whatever you like, but you do need 7 by 12 inch strips of whatever you're using. One of them is going to be much shorter, and we'll talk about that in a minute, because we're, you know, you can imagine if these are 12 inches and they overlap, that's still going to be less than 24 inches, and you need a little more than that. So something to think about. And then I'm just going to use this cream colored paper. I didn't know what I was going to do, if I was going to do Anna Griffin or whatever, but cream works for everything. So 8.5 inch by 11 inch paper, your A2 size paper, and we're just going to cut these right in half. So at 5.5 inches, just like if you're making a card base. And for each of these, I'm going to cut it at 5.5, and then I'm going to score the paper at 1 3/4 on either side. So 1 3/4, score, 1 3/4, score. Okay, nope, let's put that back. Goodness gracious. Alright, I have to bring out one more piece of paper, which is fine, I'm using paper all the time. 1 3/4 inches, score them. It's so funny, I was watching my old video and I'm like, wow, it was much more like, not to the point, because I still like to talk and whatever, but I did it in a way that made a lot of sense, right? I walked this through. So again, you're going to need 6 of these that are 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 1 3/4 on either side. So I'll continue doing that. When I come back, I will have 6 of them. In another video, I also explain why we're scoring at 1 3/4, because essentially that's 3.5 inches, and it leaves a center piece that's 5 inches wide. So again, if your photos are 4x6, that's perfect. You still have a good little amount of give left to right of about 1 inch, right? Because the pockets are that big. And then the height of them really holds your photos really well. So let's put these guys to the side, because we don't really care about that right now. With these guys, all we're going to do is give them a score. You can score them all at the same time and then come back or however, but we're just going to glue these guys together. And I don't mind using this, although I do like wet glues, but wet glue is going to take a moment to set up, and I want this to set up like right now. You can put yourself like maybe like a 1/2 inch strip or amount, right? So right on the very flap, and then just a little bit more next to that. And you can have all these guys scored already, or like I'm doing one at a time. And you're just going to bring this one and put this one right on top, and I would pay attention so they're nice and straight-ish. And of course I cut these by eye, so you know, still have that. And add a little glue to that one, again right down the very edge of the flap, and then just a little bit more. So it's about 1/2 inch of glue. So bring in the next one over. And you know what, I'm going to line these up. Have a little more idea of where it's actually going to be placed, because the other one was a little bit crooked. Okay. You can also give yourself a little squish, really burnish that. Next one. And I'll continue doing this with the whole stack until all 6 are taken up. And the last one essentially won't be stuck down yet, and you will see we'll stick that down later, but not quite yet. So okay, so I'm just going to continue sticking the stack together nice and even, all of that, and I'll be right back. So more, add this one, and then add this one. Okay guys, so the last one, I pretty much did this with you guys all together. Really I only did like one off screen here, but there you go. You can give it a really nice burnish, make sure that glue is really holding on. And so basically we just made this accordion style piece that's going to hold lots of pictures. Actually I can show you really quickly. Just grab a little stack of pictures. Actually that's a pretty good amount of pictures right there, and you can imagine that they would just fit in there, because again you have that inch extra. So that's a good amount, and you can put tons of pictures in here. Again, if you want to make it wider, bigger, whatever works for you, you can just come up with those numbers, you know. Okay, we're going to put this to the side for the moment. That's going to go inside of our case here. So, you know, I have a piece of the beige paper. I can use this. I didn't have to use all decorative paper, but we have tons of paper, guys, so I'm not scared, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to cut this paper, again, 7 inches wide. And I'm just going to do it all, ooh, I guess all at once. I could. This paper's not very thick at all. So everything in this, which is kind of interesting, you know, 10, 12 years later, whatever it is lower quality. Like as far as the thickness, right? Even the chipboard is thinner, all that. And, you know, I don't want to say quality meaning the paper is bad. It's not. It's just not as sturdy. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, I'm cutting at 5 inches so that these pieces over here are 7 inches without me swinging out the arms. So I'm just gonna cut through that. I don't know. Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. There you go. Spellbinders, paper trimmer, cut them all at once. Very good. So in my other video I showed you guys, I went and I sewed it, and it looks very cute. If you want to glue these and then sew them together or just sew them, what you're going to want to do essentially is, let's pretend this is the front of our box. So this is what I'm looking at, and then the flap opens up like this. So if you want this pretty paper there, that's fine. We're going to score it later, and it goes underneath your box. And then the next piece starts up. And if there's a direction to your piece, pay attention to it so it's not upside down. And this piece definitely has a direction. So under the box it's going to be something like that. You're not even going to see it, but when it comes up the back side, it'll be right side. So I'm going to glue that together already with about a 1/2 inch overlap. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the front of your box should be facing one way if you have a certain direction, and the other piece should face in the opposite direction, right? Basically upside down. I'm going to glue this together, which is, again, not what I did before. I would sew it because it looks very cute just to do something different. But we're just going to glue those with like a 1/2 inch, 3/4, it doesn't matter. At the end, you just want a piece of paper that's a certain length, right, to cover up all your chipboard pieces. So right now, essentially, this is probably 23.5 inches, I would say. So we can do a little bit of math. I'm just going to show you, just so you have in your head the idea. So we have this strip of paper. This is going to be the very front. So we would have this piece that is here, and then the other piece is going to come around as a flap. So we have this piece that is the large 5.5 by 6.5. The bottom of the box, right? Which again, we can kind of play with that, is here. And this is going to start coming up in the other direction. If you want, because again, we can play with whatever we want. I would probably want this seam to be lowered closer to the bottom of my box so that when it comes up behind the box, it's already switched out to the next paper. So I'm just going to kind of fudge that one. That's going to be there. And this can be here, and I don't care. We can just do it with that last piece of the paper. So I'm making it really easy. If you want to cut things down to a certain size already, that's up to you. But for right now, what I'm doing is just eyeballing, because I would just take this whole excess, or maybe even just cut it off. It doesn't matter at the end. We're not trying to go for numbers right now. I'm just showing you what we're looking at. This is the back of the box, where you can imagine your box then comes up like this, and then the little flap that brings the body back to the front is this one. So 5.5, 6.5, 5, 3.5, and as you can see, we're out of paper. Now, when you do this, and this comes down, if that's where you want it to be, that's great, that's fine. We need another small amount that's going to attach there at the end, here, and continue on with this little flap, right? So you can imagine this needs to be covered, and again, pay attention to the direction. This one definitely has a direction. It needs to go like this, or this way, sorry, so that it looks correct. So if you can imagine, this comes around and finishes that off. Now, do you want it to be there? Do you want this piece to go on top of the other piece? I think I do. So I'm just, again, in my other video, I have lots of measurements for you guys right now. What I'm going to do is pretend that this goes on top of there and bring it back around. I think that'd be the best. I don't know. Well, maybe back here a little bit more. A little further back. That'd be good. You know, again, where do you have your preferences of where the next piece should start and show up, right? So this is definitely the top of your box. So if your top of your box is there and you have this piece here, you know, cool. Or if you want to start it wherever you want to start it. Let's think. What do I want? What do I want? Yeah, I'm going to overlap this a little bit more, so that's fine. Okay, and then I'll have this here. So roughly I need to cut this paper like here. I'm going to give you guys a number right now. I think I'm going to cut it 5.5, just so I have plenty of paper. I know it might seem a little confusing, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to confuse people. I'm just trying to make it, to be honest, the easiest. So all you have to do is have a strip of paper that's a certain length, and I will tell you that length in just a moment. Now, we can also mess with this. So remember what's at the base of the box, when it comes around or whatever, like all that stuff we can kind of look at and mess around with that spacing also. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I want that to be the front still. I was gonna say I can even mess with this other piece and maybe I still want that to be the front or the back, but okay. Let's move these things to the side so I can get some space to glue this. And I do want, I think, this flap to be over on the outside, you know, as it comes over. So whatever it is you want to do with that, you can put the other one over the top, however you think it looks best. Put some little lace in there, you know, whatever. I'm gonna overlap this by not too much, probably good, just like about 1/2 inch, but you really want that to stick there. Okay, I'm gonna let that set up, guys, and then all we're gonna do is basically glue in our pieces and form the shape, which is really easy. So, I'll be right back. I'll do a quick measurement for you. This is essentially 28.5 inches long, but I do have some E's in here, if you guys recall. So, I'm not gonna glue those down. I'm gonna glue this one down first, because this is important, the part that goes underneath that I was telling you about. I'm just gonna give it another quick eyeball, just to make sure everything is where I would want that to be. And that guy, and then this guy comes around. Yeah, just about. Oh, that comes around there. Okay. I want to cover this up. See how that piece is there? And I would definitely want that to be underneath this. So I'm going to stick that down first, and then we'll go with the rest of it. I'm going to use a wet glue because it's just really going to hold on. Be careful with the wet glues you use because they could warp your paper, and if that's the case, then it's kind of a little messy. But I'm just clearing that area and just keeping it centered. You have roughly 3/4 of an inch on either side. Okay, so that one goes there. And when you stick these guys down, you're going to give yourself a little bit of ease because you can imagine this is going to come up like this. And if it's right on top, it's not going to do it well. So give yourself a little bit of spacing, and it's usually the same amount of thickness of the chipboard. Again, this is two, like, you know, cereal cartons together, basically. But you get it kind of close. So close with a little bit of spacing for you to be able to pick that up. And that's the same thing if you're making a mini album cover or any of that. You can imagine when this comes up, it's not obstructing itself, okay? So that's good. So 5.5, 6.5, 5.5, 3.5. Back to the 5.5, 6.5 piece. So I have a lot of paper left at the very end over there because again I kind of made up where I wanted this to do its thing. I mean, I could have moved this up and just had that middle piece change up here at the top, and you know, back in here. But I decided style points. I wanted it to do its change at the bottom of the box from one strip of paper to the other. This is still a little bit wet, and so I don't really want to. I don't know why. So my other work surface, apparently from my old video, was a big table. I do have a big table right here, but I didn't keep things on it, so I was able to just like use it this way. I had another desk nearby that had all like the supplies on it, so just a little bit different. Everything here is a little bit different. Again, good amount of glue, and I'll put the next one, and again, give yourself a little bit of space. I would say that space is like, I don't know, a little bit less than 1/8 of an inch, you know. Again, I don't want to pop that, so there it is. And then the next one is here. And that's pretty much right on the end. So, again, this is about 28 inches and a half. You do not need that much. Generally, about 25-inch strips should work for you. Okay, guys, so I do have some E's here to play with and over here, but basically we're going to cut that off at this point because I don't need it. And I can use, this is going to get glued underneath. You're not going to see it anyway, so that's okay. So I'm going to give myself like a 1/2 inch or something. Just cut that piece off. Do the same thing over here. I'm going to let this dry for a minute before we really continue manipulating it. So one other thing is we need liners. So after we close this up, you can imagine this is all here, it's going to be all bare and ugly. So let me grab some paper, and generally I use the same color that I used for the accordion, but you can line it with whatever you want. So I'm going to go get some more of this paper, and I'll tell you the measurements on that. 2 sheets of that same paper, and it's going to be 5 by 11.5, 5 by 12, whatever it is, but you need a nice long strip that's going to help you line this. Now this paper is really thick, so I'm really going to have to work with that to get it to do what I want, but we're good. So now we're just going to manipulate these in a way that brings it close to the chipboard and then glue them down, right? So let me move this maybe this way, get rid of this thing before I cut myself with it, because I definitely will. I've been on a roll this week. Oh my goodness. So anyway, with these things, I always kind of take a moment to really work with them and really manipulate them. And once I feel like they're in a good spot, I'll start gluing them. But I do like to do a little training. One other thing you're going to want to do is cut away a little bit of this mitered, this corner, like miter a little bit, but not too close, because then you'll see this part of it. So if you come in here, you kind of go like this and get close, but not super close. I don't know if you can see, I still have some material there to work with. So this one was easier because it's just this little strip. When it's on this long piece, you're just kind of like working it till it settles in. Again, leaving myself a little bit there. Come around, make sure it's close to your chipboard. You can use a tool. Nice and tight, right? You want to get it really close right in there. And as I come around to this side, sorry, I'm bumping things over here. Okay. So we're just kind of, okay. All right, okay. Okay. I'm trying to think of how I used to do things like this, guys. You know what? I'm actually just going to use my tape because I really want this to glue down really quickly. So I'm going to put tape because we're also going to line this anyway, so that's going to help you keep it stuck down. You know what I'm saying? There's no fear of this coming apart later. So that was quite a bit of tape, right? We're going to come in here. Let it all, before I really give it a push, there's a little trick that you still need to do. You need to make sure that this is stuck down really well, but that this is going to want to go in just like that. See, you're just kind of training it already. So pull that in, give it a little training so that your paper is kind of going into that recess. And if there's a little bit of slack you can give it, that'd be great, right? So we're just kind of pushing that into that groove that we left ourselves. Okay? And guys, look how nice that is. All right, let's do the other side, guys. And we're getting our groove back. I haven't done this in so long. Crazy. I did do, like I said, one for a swap to show you guys how you can put your swap folders in it. So that was fun. I guess that was the most recent time I did this. But again, you can come up with your own numbers. You're just thinking about what you need for the chipboard, and then give yourself an ease of like an inch or inch and a half on either side of that with your papers, and you're good to go. So if you're making up your own numbers, it's not hard. I mean, I guess I could have said that at the beginning, right? So again, let's let that stick before I give it a really good stick as I come in. See how we have some ease? That ease will help you kind of like get it in there. So a little bit of ease to do this one. Then get it nice and tight so it looks nice and professional. You guys, this is so fun. Okay, and then the easiest thing is these two pieces, which again, it's just putting tons of glue. And you are going to pay attention to this as far as when you come in. Where am I putting this? I need to put that somewhere else. Okay. So make sure that's good. That's good. These little mitered corners, if you don't pay attention to them and you go to squish it, it just makes like a weird, it does its own thing, you know? So really make sure you're manipulating those and bringing them in. And I'll do it again for you on the other one so you can see what I did. You guys, this is so cute. I'm telling you, if I'm not talking and showing you guys how to do something like this, I can whip this up in probably, I don't know, 30 minutes, maybe less. Okay, so these little miter corners, if I just fold it over, see it's going to do what it wants, you need to like tuck it down into itself, like manipulate it, you know, that's what I want. I need you to flatten out and then bring it over. So you're giving a little attention to it instead of just letting it do its own thing, because I promise you it will like flare out and it doesn't look nice. Okay, so moment-ish of truth. You can imagine the box is like this, it goes over like this, and then this piece comes down like this, And again, I left it that way. That's how I did my clearance. If you want to do like a cute little punching, sometimes what I'll do is I'll punch this paper so it's cute, and then that paper's on top of this one. So you can manipulate your layers. You want this on top, this one on the, you know, however. This is what it looks like right now. And then we're just gonna cover that, add in our accordion, and I mean, that's your basic box. So cute. Okay, so let's open this guy up. And we have those sheets that we created for ourselves. Now I can just glue these down, or you can just come in here, and I'm doing this organically, guys. I'm not gonna go and measure, you know, this many inches, and then this one's at this part. Actually, yeah, right here. I'm just gonna glue them down as we go. So I'm gonna use a wet glue. Because as I always say in these kind of videos, or with a pop-up, should I say, two pieces of paper cannot exist really in the same exact spot at the same time. So I'm going to start this with, you know, roughly like a 1/4 inch at the top, right? That's just going to help you cover everything up so it looks nice and neat. So as I lay this down, I'm trying to do it nice and straight. We're using a wet glue because I need to come in here and feel where this groove is. Right? So instead of going in and measuring it with this, you know, score and all that, we're just coming in here and doing it now. So you can imagine this is going to be really tucked in there. And then there's the next one. The next one is like right here. And I'm just giving it its score so that it's training. We're training this thing to score nicely, right? Over here too, so it doesn't buckle on us, basically. It might still, and to be honest, it's on the inside, so it's not the biggest deal, but I'm going to bring this over, sorry guys. You know, you just want it to be nice. So I'm still giving it, I'm pushing it in as I'm moving this over to take its shape. Again, you see that? Ooh, it's really nice and tight. And there we go. I'll just see if this paper can take it. And it can, so that's good. Okay. And we can just ease the rest of it. So I'm taking my time with it, easing that in there. This paper is not the best for this because this is heavyweight paper, and this is what I was afraid of. So in my old video, not gonna lie, I had 12-inch paper. So if you have two sheets that are 12-inch, you know, it'll be good, but 5 by 12. I only had A2 size in this particular color, so I'm just going to line this one up over here, and then I'm going to fill that gap with something just to cover it up. But I want the pretty part to be over here, so not to fear. If you have two 12-inch pieces that are 5 by 12, they will meet up and overlap, and it'll be great. But for now, I used A2 size paper, and what I was trying to say is this is some heavyweight paper. I'd rather have used less, I'd rather have used less good paper so that it would be easier to manipulate, but you know, this is what I had on hand. So okay, again, just like before, I'm paying attention to this end. Looks very nice. The first score is like right here-ish. Let me see, there it is. It was going a little bit off there. Okay, I'm pushing in, I'm pushing in, I'm pushing in, and then I'm going to start manipulating this, because this is essentially going to be up like this, so we do really want that to be up, right? And once I got that, I can flatten out that ease there. Okay, and then the next one is going to be here, right? So push that in, and see how this paper just immediately like ran away? That's just what happens. So you just have to know how paper works, how, like I said, two pieces will not occupy that same little corner or whatever at the same time. And that's one of my pet peeves. And so we have to work with it, you know? Look how cute, you guys. Basically, that's it right there. But I do need to cover this little portion here. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it doesn't matter. Now, I can, you know, I have a lot of paper here. It's up to you. Do you want to just bridge this little gap? I really want that to stay where it is. Do you want to just bridge this little gap with a piece of paper, or just cover the whole thing again, which I think is what I'll do. So essentially this piece, if you can imagine, was 5.5 by 6.5. So what I'm going to do is cut a piece that's going to line up to here, which is 5 inches by like 6 3/8, like as close to 6.5 as I can get, but not really, because I want to just lay it on there. But that's it, guys. How cute. Okay, so I'll be right back with a whole creamy colored piece of paper to cover that up to make it look better. I will say, if you want to line the inside also with a, you know, pretty paper that's, you know, from your decorative paper, do that. Doesn't matter. Again, 5 inches, which is almost exactly the same, which is perfect, by 6 and just under 6.5. So, so funny, like when you use A2 size paper, you do have to make some adjustments. For the outer one, it's not the biggest deal because you are layering up all those papers anyway. But for this inner one, that really surprised me, actually. Okay, so I'm just going to put that on there. Good to go. Looks very pretty. Okay, guys, so again, you can decorate this however you want. Some lace, you want something cute, you want to do some punching, maybe add another little strip here, like a little punched lace, whatever it is that you want. Essentially, this is it. This is it, and we need a stopper, okay? So, with this guy, and it depends on what you want. Do you want this in the front or this in the back? I feel like it looks neater when this part is in the front and this part's in the back. But essentially what we're going to do is stick this down just like we did the rest of it. So I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to put this on here. I am going to also include a little bit of wet glue because I feel like I need this to hold on forever. And although I love my ATG, I don't really know that it will do the job forever. I feel like it won't. So again, maybe like an inch or so wide on your glue on that one. What happens is the wider you put your glue, like it makes a smaller pocket, right? So right now down here we have like 1/2 inch. If I glued all the way out to here, your pocket's going to be much tighter and you can't fit as many things in. So that's where I come up with those numbers, guys. And then I also look at it and which one's lined up nicer at the top. Like this one's kind of wonky, so this will be my top because you can see it. And you're just going to put this at the very base of this guy. And again, when we did our work, it was 5 inches, so it's going to line up left and right perfectly with the 5-inch liner. And before you really give it a squeeze, just make sure it's really just on there. Basically clearing the bottom, you know, just a little bit. I mean, that's like 1/16 of an inch. So give it a good squeeze. And then this top part, we're going to have to really let that dry because what happens is you have to pull this to touch this front piece. And I don't want to pull that back piece away yet until it's ready, but the ATG really helps it go. So I'm going to give it just a minute though to set up, and then we'll stick this together, and then we just have to put our clasp. You guys, I love this. Again, if you wanted ribbon, you could have done something to add a ribbon here. You can actually put maybe a strip of ribbon with like a little die cut so that the ribbon is just kind of here. The other one you could have nestled within these 2 layers so that the ribbon's coming out, then you can tie it. Right, there's different ways of doing it. I'm going to do like a chipboard closure, which is basically chipboard on some dimensional so that this just kind of tucks in and it holds it closed. Okay, I'll be back. Hey guys, so with this one, what I'm going to do is put glue around the whole thing just about to where we were putting glue before, right? So this whole middle section and leaving about just over 1 inch kind of on the sides left open. So I'm going to put some glue here right at the very tips. We really want this to stay forever. So when you bring this up, I'm going to put it sideways so you can see what I'm doing, but we're going to bring this up and you can imagine this is like this, right? So we want this to meet up here and I don't want it to do it in a crooked way, so I'm going to do that. And then just bring it forward. And I'm still kind of looking at the edge of this 5-inch strip to see that we're still pretty centered. That looks good. And basically get your hand in there. I need to lay this down, guys. I haven't done this in a while. I'm just gonna keep my hand in here. I'm just making sure that that whole middle section is really touching. Okay, so I'm gonna keep the hold of that and I'll be back. So I just put the edge of the table and stuck my hand in there and there it is. Open it up, get your pictures in there. I'm not gonna mess with it too much because it's still pretty wet. And you have all these spaces that you can put in your 4x6s. And again, this is 6.5 inch tall, so you have a clearance on the top for that. So let's make a closure. Now again, ribbon, whatever you want. I'm gonna make like a little closure, probably cut from this. Again, hopefully that it doesn't have to be too big either. I think I'm gonna use this one. Now, I'm telling you, this stuff is really, really thin. I mean, look at this. This is thinner than a cereal box. It blows my mind. I do have these scraps that honestly, it looks like it'll cut right on there. Oh, that's perfect. So I'm going to cut out probably 2 of them. 3's good too. But I'm going to cut out 2 from this chipboard. So I'm just going to run it through probably my Spellbinders machines. Actually, I'll go ahead and run it through the Scout. It's a small one. And then let's see how tight it feels with this paper. I'm telling you, this is like not really chipboard. It's so thin. I guess I better tape it down. I was trying to be lazy, guys. Here we go. I cannot believe I got this whole project done. I'm telling you, my original video for it is much better. I'm like right on it, on to the point. I had measurements for you guys, a good explanation. This time, like, how did I do this? Let's recall. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to run it through 2 or 3 times so we can have a nice sturdiness. I'm also going to run it through one of my pattern papers, but we'll talk about that in a moment. I can't believe, like, that's it, guys. We're done with that cute project, basically. You know, I just ran one through this because I still had another scrap of this cream colored paper, and to be honest, that Hobby Lobby chipboard is kind of sad. It's not very thick, but by the time we have these guys all glued together, that's good. And then I'm going to run this through one of the decorative papers. Now I can cut through the ones that we already used, you know. You can stamp like the word memories or something cute like that. Like I'm sure we have tons of stamps that have things like that. Or I can look through here and cut out another piece that I would like that coordinates. That's more of the oranges and reds. Don't know. Oh, that's cute. Okay, well, let me choose one, and then I'm just going to run this through wherever. Okay, guys, so let's get this going. We're just going to glue them all together. I am going to use the wet glue. I love the way that makes everything feel super sturdy when you're done cutting it out. Let's see. Okay. So, again, I can just layer these up. Glue right to the very, very edges. And give that a little bit of a zhuzh so that the glue spreads around as much as you can with Nuvo Deluxe. It's not the easiest. It just wants to hold on as soon as you do it, right? Okay, so then we have this one. And since my kids are still sleeping, and apparently my husband slept in too, I was like, aren't you going to work? He's all, I guess not, because I just woke up. And it was like 9:15. I was like, okay. He must have been very tired. Alright. Let's see here. Luckily, not to, you know, they work from home a lot in his office, but he's also the boss, so he can pretty much do that and then just say everyone's going to do that, right? Alright, let's see here. Put that there. Put that here. Okay, I'm going to put some weight on this for sure to really hold that together. And then in the meantime, I'm going to see if I have like a sticker or something I can put on there, die cut, that says, I don't know, memories, pictures. I guess you can also, you know, cut something like that. Oh, you know what? I'll do it on my Cricut since I have nothing else to do right now and let that sit. So I'm just going to quickly, I was going to say on the Cricut, you can probably do the wording and then cut it out with like the next size die, but the next size die, like this one. Isn't that funny? Right? Just so I have exactly the same shape. I don't have to, but I really like those flowers, so I didn't really want to do that. I just wanted a word to be cut out. But I could definitely just write something on the Cricut and then use this die to cut it out. Cute. Just an idea. I really wanted a lot of those flowers to show that I did, so let me see. I'll be right back. As I got on here, I think the last time I got on here was 2 weeks ago. It needed an update, so it did that, and it changed things. I'm sure it did. So I'm going to turn this off. And, yeah, I'll just say new project. I will say joy because I don't really care. I just want some, let's see images, and let's see if there's the word photo. I don't know if I'll have that. And either free. Oh, that's cute. The little like image of a camera. That's kind of cute. Or purchased. I don't know why that would be. Photo, happy birthday, concert. It does make its cute little things. Oh, look at this one. It makes like a matchbox already. I don't know that we can make it how we want it, but no, they don't have that word. So I'll just go back to text. And let's make it a cute text. So I just want to show you guys really quickly to find the ones that you own. Generally, you click on this and you can say purchased. And then, yeah, I don't need it to be written. So that's the only thing I care about, purchased. And something cute. I was gonna say it should be fancy, but I don't really want it that way. I would like a fancy one, if I had fancy that was actually stuck together, like a cursive. Oh, that's cute. Happy Hauntings is very cute. Holiday cake from when I bought the Cricut cake. I have all these different things too. Maybe this one. Let's see if it works. Okay. And memories, photos, I don't know. Yeah, photos is fine. It needs to be about this sizing, to be honest. That's funny. I'm not even gonna stick them together. I think that's just it. And then I'll just use this lettering and glue it on. So if there's one other thing you can do, can I make it bold? Let's see, style, writing, yeah, letter spacing, hopeless romantic. I would like to make it a little thicker. I don't see it, so maybe it's on here somewhere. I just don't see it. I guess the other thing you could do is do an offset. I'm just gonna have them there the way they are, and maybe a little bit bigger. How about that? Make them a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm gonna send that to be created. I don't want to save that. Okay, I'll see you guys once it's cut. It's gonna be on matte. And I'll just confirm that, and I'm just going to pick a piece of cardstock that I like for that, and I'll cut it out. Go ahead and cut that. This is a Dollar Tree mat, which I've been a fan of, so I'm going to go ahead and run that through. I always forget which material cuts it twice. I'm going to say heavy cardstock, but I feel like heavy cardstock does it 3 times, and that might be really not great for foil paper like this. There is a foil paper one, so I'm wondering if I should select that and see. Hopefully I'll cut it twice. And that's all I want. I guess I'm gonna move this out of the way too, because I don't need that on there anymore. It's been on there for quite some time now. And now I have this one really, really nice thick piece. And okay, let's go with this guy. I have a long cord and I can totally make this over here. I don't know why I always keep it to the very end here. Load tools. And hopefully this won't be a disaster. And if it is, I'll just do it again. There we go. Again, it's a brand new one too. I used one the other day and I can't find that same one. I probably placed it somewhere here and I'm sure it's under my nose, but that's alright. Okay, default pressure, I guess. Alright, we're going to click go. And let's see how it does. Yeah, I just wanted to cut twice if it can, instead of 3 times, or all the way through would be nice. Oh, you know what, it's only going to cut it once, because if I was going to cut it twice or 3 times, I would have done it already. It usually does 1 letter at a time, or however. So hopefully it cuts all the way through, and then I just will be good with that. On the other Cricuts, you can just say rerun, like to do it again, without taking it out, but I feel like this one doesn't give you that option. Maybe I'm tripping. I feel like I just haven't seen that option with this guy. Oh, let's see. Nope. Don't leave me yet. Yeah, see, it says complete and then unload is like the only other thing you can do. Oh, but you know what? It cut, guys. So, let me tell you. Well, hold on. It looks like it cut. Yeah, for the most part. Let me just click unload and I'll show you. I chose foil paper 0.36 millimeter, and that is Anna Griffin paper. So I used foil paper 0.36. Okay. Alright, let me get this off of here and I'll be back. I was going to say, if you're all scared when you take this off that it's still a little bit stuck, pull your letter forward, because if you push it back through, it's going to rip the gold off, or whatever that, whatever the color is. So if you pull it up forward, your paper will, the gold part will stay, and maybe something like right here, the white part tore off. But if you push it back, then it just gives it more of a reason for that gold layer on top to kind of come off. So I always pick things up out of the space. Like this one is very interesting right here. Even though it cut, I'm gonna break that. See how it's kind of like plasticky? And push this behind. Okay, so I'm just going to take some care to get that taken apart. But not too bad. Okay guys, so I'm just gonna glue those down again, pat, pat, pat in the back of my hand. And I think it should fit, because again, I kind of measured that one die, the die that goes on the inside of this guy, and it was 2 1/4 or 2 1/2 by like 1 1/4. And I was like, oh, perfect. I think this goes this way. Okay, so I'm just gonna put glue on the back of my hand, pat, 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 and then stick them down. Ah. Okay, something like that. Obviously nicer. They're kind of jumbled up right now. So there's that. I kind of wanted to make it more playful, but it came out the way it came out. Okay, So there it goes. I was debating and putting like some of the letters up higher and lower and whatever. Okay, so there's that. And I'm just going to put some dimensionals on the back of this, dimensional adhesive. I used to have some really big strips back in the day, but basically you need something thick enough to clear the thickness of, let me put that, actually I probably should have put a little more on that one, your chipboard. So this chipboard isn't super thick and we even doubled it up, but you need something thick enough to clear that so that when it tucks in here it just holds it, you know, without a problem. And that's really, really good. I don't really want to double that up. I think that's good. I'm just going to put more of it though so it really holds. And maybe even one more. Now, what I'm going to do is remove this one or remove this one. Only peel this one a little bit to there and peel this one to like here, just to have some ability to take this off if I don't like where I put it. We're going to bring this over, basically close it up, kind of see where you're at. Oh, I'm sorry that I'm still so close. Hopefully you were able to see what I was doing. My goodness. Hopefully you were able to see what I was doing. Sorry about that. And then I couldn't speak over here. Alright, let's get this guy. And basically you're looking to put this so it meets up to that last piece of your adhesive, you know? So like here-ish. That looks pretty good. That's there, that's there. Okay, that looks pretty centered to me. Peel that away, peel that away, and then give it a really good squish. Clearly we don't want that going anywhere. And that is your box that is held together, closed by this piece. Now this could be anything. On the different videos I did, I had different shapes. Again, they were from steel rule dies that I had, Tim Holtz ones, like whatever, you know, back in the day types that I had. So I have lots of different shapes, hearts, I have flowers, I have leaves, you know, all these different shapes you can think about putting it. It's just a nice size one that's going to hold this closed for you. I think that looks very cute. Alright guys, well that is essentially it. And then you can imagine you bring your photos over, you pop them in here, let me grab some, you know, and you can be like, oh, these are the ones from however. Oh, I have some pictures here from when I was pregnant in Georgia with Miranda. And again, on my old channel, look, my little Tiffany bracelet, I had tons of videos on all kinds of things, clothes, shoes, things people would ask if I would review. And so this was a cool shirt with like a little thing, look at that. So anyway, let's say, you know, we have some of these or whatever, you know, and that's separate from these other pictures. So, you know, you can just use it, obviously, to organize. Aw. This is Miranda in Hawaii, and whenever she has to have these kinds of things. So these are the 3 that she chose the last time we went, 2 years ago. This last time, I think she only got like keychain ones, but anyway. So then you go through and you have all your things organized, and there you go. So, alright guys, well thanks for watching. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Again, the sizes I came up with are basically to house 4x6 photos, so 5.5 inches wide, 6.5 inches tall. That's how those chipboard pieces were. You know, the width can do with however, if you want this wider, keep adding these guys. I would say give yourself a 1/2 inch to 1 inch for these, you know, sections, and that's why this is 3.5 inches wide. I gave myself 1/2 inch basically, or yeah, per section, and then a little bit extra. Top was the same, 3.5 by 5.5, and then this flap is 3 by 5 because that's what I wanted. I mean, you can make it shorter, bring this up, whatever, you know, however you want, because basically this comes all the way up anyway. And I did that on purpose to protect your photos. Alright guys, decorate it as much as you like. Of course, that too. So thanks for watching. I hope that was a fun scrap your stash. I will say one more thing. After you have all your chipboard pieces, the paper has to be about 25 inches long to really cover everything, and then again about 7 inches wide, and the inside paper again about 24.5 inches long by 5 inches wide, so it's the same width as these guys. And then these papers were just cut in half from an A2 size paper. So I'll include a link to my original original video. I had re-uploaded it here a few years ago. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next one. Sorry guys, I wanted to take pictures and I didn't really show you everything. So again, you know, your little paper up the back. This is where it switches out here. And again, last time I did, I sewed it. So sewing there, sewing here just to give it a little, you know, detail. Again, this paper could have switched out back here. It could switch out lower. It just depends on where you're placing these strips of paper, right, to make it all meet up. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. Sorry, guys. So again, this is facing the right way, and this one's facing the correct way here. Obviously, it's a little bit upside down here. So all those things you can just kind of keep in mind and think about how you want to get them worked. Oh my goodness. One more thing I guess I didn't really show is that this thing can open up really wide, because that's the whole point of having the accordion. Okay? All right. Bye now.